What is up, everyone? Episode 4, Mack of all trades. I'm your host, Andrew Mackens. As always, thank you for being patient, waiting for us to go live for only fashionably late 5-6 minutes. Joined by a special guest this week. He was on for episode 2. He's back again, Justin Mandaro at jman_ff. How are you doing, my friend?
Bro, you know how I start the shows off every time. I'm living the absolute American dream. You know, life is good. Things are kicking up pretty hard for me personally, so hopefully we'll get an opportunity to talk about those because, you know, I love hearing myself talk about myself, of course. But other than that, everything is great. How are you doing? That's the real question.
I'm good. I've coming in under the wire, as we like to say, in terms of starting the stream. Definitely wanted to get you back on because I think we only briefly touched on your level of involvement in fantasy, a crazy 32-team type of league that you're in with different or multiple leagues that all break into different rivalry matchups, chance to win a ton of different money. I loved hearing about that, and I wanted to dive in a bit more with you on that and your other high stakes endeavors. So we'll get to that as we go through the show. We're also going to talk about a little bit about free agency and then how that impacts going into Dynasty season, pre-draft. Are you making any trades? This is Mack of all trades, so I want to discuss different trade ideas each and every episode here with our Undroppables fam. And then we'll get into the fun stuff after that. So, I mean, just to let the people know, Justin, tell us your foray into fantasy football, how you found the Undroppables, and how you got brought into this all-22 wrecking crew.
Yeah, absolutely. So my stretch happens to go for a long period of time, though I haven't really put a ton of energy and time into content, which is something I'm certainly hoping to change here in 2021. But it started for me about 9-10 years ago. I went to a small junior college for broadcasting, got into a couple of pretty good schools, ended up not going because I got offered a job in tech that is going to go IPO soon. So yay for that. But I got into tech, and that kind of sidelined me for a little bit. But just before doing so, I got the opportunity to intern with the Roto Experts. So if you don't know anything about the Roto Experts, they were the long-standing morning show on Sirius XM. So I got to work with Adam Ronis and the King Scott Engel, and I got to work with a lot of really, really good people and really great minds in the fantasy industry, and kind of fell in love with it. Because of the job that I got hired for, I never actually became a member of Roto Experts. It was just an internship. And then I kind of sprinkled from site to site, article to article throughout the next couple of years. I started to take a big kind of energy towards video and audio and creating content in that regards rather than writing content. And I started that with a site called The Fantasy Fix, and then went into the Fantasy Authority. And I saw a tweet one day from the Undroppables' very own 101 Chalk, who was looking for someone that could do some video stuff. And I thought of it at the time that it was kind of going to be a side project for me, that I would focus a lot of my energy on the Fantasy Authority, where I'd been for a year and a half, 2 years, and I would kind of help the Undroppable squad out with some video stuff. And that turned into a bigger gig, and here I am, and love every second of it. And I'm very, very glad that Chalk reached out or responded to my DM and stuff. So that's how I got here, and I'm hoping to kind of kick that up a couple notches this year.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man. And I think being a regular guest of this stream, I'm sure will be a big part of that. You know, you and I know each other best, not just from, writing a couple articles for our site throughout last season, but also our Under the Wire pregame program on Discord, the Fantasy Football Chat Discord, which is, as far as I know, the largest fantasy football Discord out there in terms of servers. A lot of guys like the Dynasty nerds, and I think even the fantasy footballers are on that server as well. So it was fun to do that and try to help people coming in right under the wire, try to set their lineups, help them with their flex lineup decisions, like going literally right up to kickoff. I would jump off that show and then jump over to start watching football for the day. And I felt like I felt like I was sometimes trying to multitask, like setting my own DFS lineups, and then I would miss my own like lineup decisions and be like, shit, I'm trying to spin two different plates here. I mean, it was definitely a crazy time, but a fun time as well. And I'd love to hear like your reflections on that experience as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was kind of my first time taking on a big show like that, where, we have, a pretty good amount of listeners. The Discord channel's got thousands of people in it, whether or not we had thousands of listeners any given Sunday story or not. But it was the first kind of opportunity that I really had to kind of get out there in front of a lot of people. And to say that was special and that was an exciting opportunity would be understating the whole thing completely. At the end of the day, though, you're right. It was almost impossible to set lineups, to tinker, to play DFS. I took a lot of time off on DFS. I stuck to like private DFS leagues and stuff like that, where there's only like 10 of my closest friends in them and stuff like that. So if I lost $5 because I didn't get my lineup in, it wasn't the end of the world. But you are correct. It was very difficult to multitask talking the show and managing your lineups. And I don't know about you, but I'm in 27 leagues. I'm going to shorten that pretty significantly. But, doing 27 leagues is tough, specifically when you're on a show right up to kickoff.
Yeah.
You don't have time. So
I was in like 14 leagues last year, and I dumped one or two so far. I guess I hope I can get it to around like 10 or 12 with maybe adding some best ball ones in, because then you don't have to worry about it on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I hope to be doing more and more best ball drafts as part of this show, just to show like my foray into that, and hopefully seeing some, week 16, week 17 now sweats, because the season's likely to be 17 or, well, actually it would be week 16. No, week 17 sweats, because there'd be 18 weeks in the NFL season instead of 17. Yeah. And whatever the last week of the NFL season is, we don't want to play fantasy during that. So yeah, I definitely thought back to like, damn, I would have made some different lineup. Coulda, shoulda, woulda is like my big fantasy persona on game day. And that I think I would have made some, the right lineup changes, or just a couple more DFS lineups that would have hit if I had not been doing the Under the Wire show. But it is like that, definitely like feels like a radio program when we're doing it. Yeah. Even if there's only a handful of listeners and way more people just typing in the Discord, like, okay, who do I start? Darius Slayton or Michael Gallup? And it's like, I mean,
I think the big thing for the show is we definitely noticed that there was a lot more, activity in the chat. Right. There's a couple things for that. Obviously, we're giving a rundown of each game. There really isn't a lot of time to physically sit down and talk about each person's lineup decisions. We can only really do so much within the time that we're allotted. So either we adjust our kind of agenda for those shows and be more centered around the audience rather than talking about each game, or we do more time, right? We were doing it for an hour and a half or 90 minutes. Maybe we do a 2-hour show, right? Maybe it's, has to be a 3-hour show, right? Where it's not just all on the two of us, but more undroppables are involved, so that it's not everyone all the time for 3 hours. It's a deep commitment. So,
that's a good idea, because then we could cycle through and some people can like tune out for a few minutes just to like check things and then jump back in. And more of like a group conversation. I like that idea.
Absolutely. So that'll get the fans more involved. That'll get the people in the Discord more involved. And, we'll be able to help more people. Not to say that the rest of the undroppables in the chat answering questions on Sunday weren't huge. They made it happen for us. So we got to figure out, how can we get the people that are in the chat to also be listening at the same time, get their questions answered by the team in the chat, and potentially be able to do that with us as well. So those are all things we got to kind of look at as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely some stuff we can tweak down the road. The next stretch of road that we have to trek in the fantasy season, since it never stops, is Dynasty leagues. Obviously, free agency is going crazy. We talked a bit about it. Michael Duncan and I did last week, and the massacre that is free agency. That's still ongoing. There's tons of different offensive line and cornerback candidates out there. Obviously, Curtis Samuel first year to drop in the kind of stagnant wide receiver market. And we saw Will Fuller got a deal today, I believe, to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So a few more guys out there. Kenny Galladay seen where you can get the most money. And then maybe a couple other guys still left out on the market. Do you have like Juju? I guess with just Galladay in particular, do you have a sense of where you think he's going to end up choosing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought his shot was Miami. But I mean, every big wide receiver, or at least semi-big wide receiver, was at least at some point talked about being in Miami, right? So,
yeah,
I thought that was an obvious choice for them. But now, obviously, I think it's the Giants, which certainly sucks for me as a Cowboys fan, right? I certainly do not want to have to face a player of Kenny Galladay's ability and talent level with Saquon and Evan Ingram and all that stuff behind them, right? So
Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, now Kyle Rudolph. The Giants are really doing a great job in free agency. They're really building up and saying, hey, listen, Daniel Jones, you've got year 3 here. This is your shot. You don't do it, we're moving on. That would be my guess.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
This is his last shot to really kind of turn it around. I'm excited for that option. I've got a lot of Daniel Jones, not because I'm a fan of his, right? And that's not a shot at the Giants, but in general in fantasy, I'm not super excited about him. But where you can get him in drafts, dynasty drafts, startups, wherever, he's going to just be cheaper. He's going to be cheaper to get. So I definitely like taking a risk on some of those cheaper quarterbacks so that I can stock up on the skill positions guys early on in drafts. And Daniel Jones is one of those guys that I look to do that. So with the revamp in his offense, I could definitely see that happening.
He's definitely still got that rushing upside with some young legs. So I like going back to the well with him too, as long as you're not overpaying. So obviously a huge impact on the dynasty landscape will be these rookie trades as well, or rookie picks of very, very deep class in the 2021 NFL draft. And we don't know those landing spots yet. We don't know the draft capital, but it's going to have a huge impact on evaluation of rookies. And obviously what everyone's looking at right now in Dynasty is, do I trade my rookies from last year, my rookie picks, or any of my future picks for win now assets? And so we're going to jump into a few different trades that we didn't really get to last week. We talked about one trade that now I think is drastically changed in terms of valuation. So we can reevaluate that at another time. But some other ones we didn't get to. And this one I did with former Undroppable fellow, friend of the show and friend of mine on fantasy Twitter, at Kane Rob. He sent a trade to me for, he's in the productive struggle. He's rebuilding for the future. So he sent me an offer of Chase Claypool and a 2023 second round pick. And I, in return, would receive Chris Godwin. Now, I'm going to pass it to you quick here, Justin. But for me, I just look at my team and I am very win now. I was, got kind of lucky with Chase Claypool as one of my younger assets, but I'm pretty much shooting for the stars here. I'm not planning on anything in 2023 at this point, let alone my dynasty fantasy teams. So I just got another guy who I think can really bounce back in Tampa Bay's offense right now. And having to give up Chase Claypool was tough because I like him a lot, but I had him in some other spots, so I was willing to give him up. And our boy Master June, Mark, he had actually had a very similar offer that was going about in our chat recently as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a good trade. It's a fair trade. It's not necessarily one that I would do if I'm a Chris Godwin owner. I think Godwin has got a little bit more upside. He signed his franchise tender today. He's definitely going to be a buck for at least next year. When I look at the numbers, Chris Godwin exploded last year. Now, everyone's going to talk about how that really wasn't the case. If you look at it, he's like wide receiver 31 on the list or whatever. But, he only played in like 10 or 12 games. So there's a lot missing there. And if you look at the fantasy rankings of just those weeks, now, obviously, I know that's picking and choosing and, kind of trying to figure out all of those different things. But if you look at just those 12 weeks, he's a top 10 fantasy wide receiver in just those 12 weeks that he played. So I look at it as Chris Godwin has got an absolute ton of upside. Tom Brady is still slinging the ball around, does not look in any capacity that it's going to slow down in any way. Where I don't necessarily know the same for Claypool. Obviously, Juju is not going to be coming back. So it'll be Claypool, it'll be Washington, and it'll be Deontay Johnson there. But does Claypool with Big Ben really equal Chris Godwin? Now, the Undroppables do kind of talk about things a lot. This deal is super even. When you look at trade calculators, it's super even. And so for that reason, I'm probably not moving off Godwin. But if I can get maybe a 22 second round pick or even a 21 second or even third, I might consider a 21 third round pick if that's the offer that's being sent to me. But I am all in on Godwin this year. I've tried to steal him in a couple of leagues. It didn't work, but I tried.
Yeah, and I also have Mike Evans on this team, but I didn't want that to stop me from getting a guy like Chris Godwin. Do you think he's still a buy low candidate right now, or is his bounce back potential already priced in because everyone knows like, well, he'll just play 16 games and ball out with being back with Brady?
If he didn't play as well as he did in the playoffs, I think you'd have a shot. I think the buy low window really kind of stopped during the playoffs. People really saw when this guy is healthy, he's almost unstoppable. The fact that particular team has Gronk, has Mike Evans, even Scotty Miller there as well. He's not going to burn the world down with his name, but he is definitely a threat when the other three are also on the field. So you got to really kind of think about that. They obviously also have Tyler Johnson, who is going to be coming into his second year, and he showed flashes last year. So I'm not really worried about whether or not Godwin continues to go. I just don't know if you're really going to be able to find a buy low candidate on Godwin simply because of how he finished out the season.
Fair enough. I think a lot of his upside's already priced in because we know who he is from 2019.
You did pick up at least a first to start, right? So
yeah, let's move on to this next trade. I put this one in our group chat as well because I was like, I'm pretty sure I liked one side more than the other based on what we knew just a few days ago, and I feel even better about it now. So this trade, send Darnell Mooney from one of my teams that had a lot of different young receivers on it and receive the 2021 2.12 pick. So basically the last pick of the second round. And Andy Isabella was thrown in there by this guy. This is like the first Dynasty league I joined. I picked up an orphan with a bunch of people. I have no idea who they are. It's on my fantasy league, but I kind of like the core there. In any case, the way I had actually pitched it to you guys was just Mooney or the pick. And I think Mooney was like a late round guy in those drafts in 2020. And so now I've like, there's got to be someone at the end of the second round that I like more long-term than Darnell Mooney, and especially with Andy Dalton as the Bears quarterback now. Yeah.
I actually like Darnell Mooney. I like him in this offense specifically because their second wide receiver, whose name is blanking for me right now, is basically on the trade block. It was announced a couple days ago.
Yeah, Anthony Miller.
Yeah, Anthony Miller, exactly. It was either Schefter or Rappaport announced that there have been multiple teams that have reached out to the Bears in regards to Miller. I think if that trade goes down, then I definitely like Mooney. However, what I would say is you are correct in the way that you're thinking. In this particular draft, with the way we think this draft can go down. Now, obviously, there's recency bias in how well last year's draft was, specifically at the wide receiver position. So that obviously has to factor into it. But even the back end of the second round, you're still going to get a pretty solid player there. And he should absolutely have more value than Mooney. And then if you add in another player that has some value, you're kind of making out there. Now, the question is whether or not Andy Isabella is that guy. The signing of A.J. Green could potentially change that. If we put Isabella in the slot, right? If we put Isabella in the slot, he's got the speed, he's got the ability. That could absolutely kind of play a factor into Isabella really kind of taking that next leap at the position.
I was really not planning for an AJ Green signing with Andy Isabella, but let me pass this or pitch you this way too on this one, because I do want to use part of Mack of All Trades to share some of the great work that we have on our website, theundroppables.com. And so what I've been doing when I think of some of these picks, I go straight to our site and look at some of our rookie mock drafts. And this is a 1QB one, and it's in a 1QB league. So I think it's pretty representative, at least from, end of January, how we're evaluating these guys pre-pro days, how we feel about the players. You had the first overall pick in this rookie draft. We went 3 rounds, and I can basically jump to round 2 and start to see what types of players might be available. Well, really at the end of this round, and who I might get and their potential compared to a Darnell Mooney. Obviously, the landing spot in the draft capital will have a huge impact again on these rookies and their landing spots. But you get into the end of the second round, and there's some wide receivers and running backs I like here. Sage Surratt and Seth Williams are big dudes, like way bigger, potential alpha wide receiver frame compared to Mooney, who's, I believe, shorter than 6 feet. You've got Chuba Hubbard and Michael Carter, De'Ami Brown. I mean, even like Trey Lance. I'm kind of stacked at QB right now, but in a 1QB league. But worst case scenario, I guess I'd go Brevin Jordan because he's like one of the top tight ends as well. I've heard people really liking Tamorrion Terry. Don't sleep on him. Do you feel like this right now? I mean, it's been a couple months, but is this still representative of, you think, what I could get with that 212 pick now that I have it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the pro days aren't really done yet, right? So we're probably a little early in terms of determining exactly who's going to fall where. And then obviously everything is going to change with draft capital, right? If Trey Lance gets selected 3 overall, you're not going to get him 212. Even in a 1 QB league, he's going to get snacked up pretty quickly, right? So,
I hope so.
yeah. So you're looking at, like 212. I can definitely see the guys that we talked about, right? De'Ami Brown, Tamorrion Terry, guys like that. I think, can you go back to that real quick?
Yeah, I can.
I think there was Elijah Moore on there. It's somewhere in that kind of realm there.
Yeah.
Too. I could be wrong. I'm really high on Elijah
I know
Moore.
Terrace Marshall and Tylan Wallace are probably way out of my chances there.
Yeah.
Those guys seem like they're going to be pretty big. I don't hate Kylan Hill either. I think he pops up into the 3rd round of this draft. So somewhere, probably taken by me. Yeah. Interesting player there. Maybe I can get him in the 3rd round, but I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of really sexy rookies, or I'm just so steeped in Dynasty FF Twitter that I don't even know what's what anymore, and we're just hyping up everyone.
Yeah, everyone gets hyped up on FF Twitter. 100% does. It's just a matter of, and this not necessarily you, because obviously I know you're going to do that, but for anyone who's listening and watching the show, you have to do your own research. Don't just listen to the talking heads like myself and Andrew and the rest of the Undroppables. Do your research and get your own feeling for players, right? Sometimes you'll be right. Sometimes you'll be wrong. Last year, I was wrong on Derrick Henry. I was wrong on A.J. Brown. Those guys, absolutely, made me wrong.
Man, you're just hating on my Titans. Like,
yes, yeah, I
picked Derrick Henry and AJ Brown.
Definitely a shot at you. But no, I mean, you've got to pick the guys that you think you like and don't like, and go for it. Don't necessarily just listen to everybody else. I know it's easy to do that, but you definitely don't want to. With that being said, I'm fine at this position with the guys that we've talked about: Brevin Jordan, Terry, Brown, Elijah Moore, et cetera, et cetera. But with the recency bias of the 2000 draft or 2020 draft, excuse me, and how well everyone did for the most part in that draft class, people are going to be super crazed about these guys, specifically once draft capital kicks in.
Yeah.
So at 212, you could absolutely trade that pick. Maybe you pick up 2 3rd-rounders. Maybe you pick up 2 3rd-rounders and another player that you like, right? Something that can kind of help you fit and mold the roster the way that you want. So don't always just go in deer lights, deer in the headlights, and just go straight for a player. See where you can kind of play once everything starts to fall into place.
Yeah, I've done 2 trades in that league to get me some picks in this class, like late second rounders, and I'm already tempted to just use those picks to trade for a running back because I feel like my team is on the up and up. So I don't know how many more rookies I actually need, but and I think we've heard this. Plenty of us have heard this over and over, is that rookie picks maximize in value the closer you get to the actual draft. So wait until mid-April and people are going to have rookie fever, I guess May, like after the draft, but before your rookie draft. Make sure you start getting feelers from people. Maybe they're willing to pay a lot more for those rookie picks than they are right now.
Yeah, 100%. Totally with you. And now that we've got news like Kenyon Drake being signed to Las Vegas, you can probably use those second-round picks to get yourself a guy like Kenyon Drake, who showed that he still has something in the tank. And, he's now going to be splitting time, so people are going to be off him a little bit. Maybe the addition of Kenyon Drake makes people off on Jacobs a little bit more, right? So a lot of things that can be said about what you can do with those second-round picks and grabbing guys that have got still a little bit value that people might be off on a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to come back to this homepage quick because we did mention pro days. If you're looking for a resource on pro days, all aggregated into one spot, our Kyle Larson has done a great job in pulling this together on one page. It's right on our homepage when you go to the undroppables.com, and then you can find this article kind of tracking all of the different pro days that have been happening and what those players' stats end up being. So if you're interested in those types of performances, Kyle is in the pro day streets trying to track all of this workout information down for us. So shout out to him.
Yeah. And obviously when you go in there, the Oklahoma Sooners will have the best pro day information. Just keep that in mind.
Well, you mentioned Sooners. We might have to come back to that. You mentioned you had a trade that you wanted to talk about, Justin, and I think it's a different one that's not on our show sheet here. Do you want to pitch that in my direction?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one is a no-brainer for me to have accepted. I don't know why I didn't accept it, and unfortunately, the owner who sent it to me had immediate cold feet. So in one of the
he knew it was about to get fucked in this trade.
Oh yeah, no, this was a bad
he left it out there.
This was a bad one. So this was I was going to win pretty easily here. So keep in mind, this is a roster that's not very good. It's got some decent pieces to it. There's Saquon's there, Josh Jacobs there. I think I also have DJ Moore in this roster. So I've got some good pieces, but I've got some issues there on the roster, and I really needed to kind of revamp it a little bit. Someone came in and was like, I want draft capital. So I felt like, okay, this is the perfect time to kind of go crazy and get rid of some of the draft capital I have. So I did not have a first-round pick in this upcoming draft, but I have 3 next year, and I had the 201 this year.
Okay.
So the offer came down that I would send all 3 of my first-round picks next season, Drew Lock, the 201, Brian Edwards, and Adam Trotman.
Okay.
And in return, I would get Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Cooper Kupp, and Tom Brady. Now,
is this Superflex?
This is Superflex. Yeah. My quarterbacks right now are Jalen Hurts. We don't know what the Eagles are going to do. And Taysom Hill, who during the trade negotiations was still the backup. We didn't know what Drew Brees was going to do. Even though we thought we knew he was going to retire, we didn't know. So I did not have another quarterback really to kind of put in that spot.
All good.
So I was trying to get Tom Brady, and I was trying to trade a lesser quarterback because I was giving up so much draft capital, but he wouldn't budge and then sent me this roster. And for some reason, I decided to look at the trade calculator before clicking the accept button. And when I looked at the trade calculator and saw how lopsided it was, I could not have gone back to Sleeper to press accept fast enough. And before I could, it was gone. The offer was made.
So you could have accepted it. Like you could have hashtag smash accept and gotten that done. Wow.
Yes. And so that would have given me a roster of Tom Brady, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore or Calvin Ridley. Not
That's
DJ
a
Moore,
tough
Calvin
miss,
Ridley.
man. I mean, fun story, but yeah, I would take the known commodities there, even though he's basically trying to sell you all of his depreciating assets. Like he thinks all those guys are on the downswing. But if you're trying to win now, and he's clearly trying to build for the future, like you don't know what you're going to draft with those picks. That's the hard thing about trading for 4 picks. Is I never really want to overpay for picks because I don't know if I'm going to hit that pick or not. Yes, I'm going to be doing evaluation. I'm going to find guys I like and whatnot, but I just you could draft Corey Davis like everyone did in 2017 and be disappointed with your 101 pick being Corey Davis. So like,
I was trying to not. The problem was that I was trying not to lose Drew Lock. All right, because again, I didn't have a ton of quarterback assets.
Yeah,
he was technically my 3rd quarterback on the roster that still technically had a starting role. Now, again, that could change in 2 months. We don't know what's going to happen with Denver and the draft. Yeah. But right now, he was my one and only starting backup option, and I didn't want to lose that while acquiring a 43-year-old who's probably going to be in the league for another 2 years, maybe. So
yeah, that's tough.
So I absolutely should have hit accept. I know that I should have hit accept, but that was the trade that came across, and almost within 30 seconds of it being offered, it was rejected. It was taken down. So
it's certainly hard to manage because I tried trading for Tom Brady in a 16-team league, super flex, the same one that I got Godwin in, because now I've got Evans and Godwin and Jax Falcone at Dino Game Theory. He's got Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, and I'm like, I just want to get all the Bucks on my team because I've got Ronald Jones too. And I'm like, why the fuck not? Like, I don't think there's even a buy-in for this league. Like, let me get all the Bucks and go in on their like back-to-back Super Bowl run or something. And it was really hard for me to give a good offer. I think I sent Jax a lame offer, and he's like, why would I give up this and this just to, or like, why would I give up draft capital along with this just to get Derek Carr? Because I sent him Derek Carr is like the only guy, and basically he believes in the short term longevity and weights that in like Tom Brady compared to Derek Carr, and then what Derek Carr could be like 4 or 5 years down the road. So maybe I'll have to go back to the drawing board, just go all out and trade my entire like draft capital that I have, but that's for another time. Okay, let's talk about some more stuff that I'm really interested in about you and your endeavors, your hobbies, Justin, because I want to make this a bigger part of Mack of All Trades. I talked a little bit with Michael Duncan about like NBA Top Shot and previous conversations. And, you know, every time I talk with you, it feels like there's a different nugget that I'm picking up, and some stuff that I thought I had retained is like, one, I know you mentioned you're in 27 leagues. So I wanted to ask you, you're in a lot of high stakes leagues too, like, right? Like how many of those leagues are big money? Like, I don't know, $500 plus for your.
So I'm in 3. I'm in 2 $500 ones and one $1,000 one. And I understand like having a bunch of leagues and paying little amounts of money for them. But I can't do it. $10, $20 leagues, $30 leagues, those are the same thing to me as a free league. I just can't stay focused in them no matter what I do.
Yeah.
So for me, they got to be bigger. They got to be $100 plus pretty easily. They can't really go anything lower than 50. Sure, I'm in ones that are less than $50, but at the end of the day, I've got to play, higher stakes. Now,
yeah, you end up prioritizing the big money.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean that I'm like some high stakes guru. I for the most part profit every year. Some years I don't. Some years I get really crushed. Some years I do really well. This past year I did really well. It was just the way that the cookie crumbled for me. But to me, to keep me like just moving along and the motor running, there's got to be something in it for me. And so that's where the high stakes really kind of comes from.
Are all those with friends, or do you do them with randos on like the FFPC and championships like that?
Yeah, every one of them is with, they're kind of home leagues.
Okay.
It's not that I don't want to get involved in those, but I also don't necessarily want to be giving a lot of money away to strangers or to a website that could crash at any minute and the money's gone. I'd much rather if I'm going to be spending that kind of money, I'm going to be doing it with people I know and people I trust.
Yeah,
hold my money.
Fair.
So that's kind of where it comes out of.
Yeah, they'll put it to good use. At least they'll get some enjoyment out of it. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about March Madness on this stream. So, do you have a lot of money placed on that? No. You're in Texas, right? So I don't know if there's any sportsbook eligibility there.
No, I mean, I've got my ways. Let's just put it that way.
Sure.
I won't name names or talk about where I go to, but I definitely have ways of placing my own stuff.
So you are sprinkling on the tournament, or what?
No, probably not. So two things. A, I hate the game of basketball. I just hate it. There's absolutely nothing I hate more than the game of basketball. It's just so boring to me. That and movies produced before 1995 are the two things that I hate most in the world. That's a different conversation for a different show.
Sure.
I just don't necessarily find the excitement in the game, right, that I do with baseball or football. And I totally understand that people are like, baseball, it's 9 minutes of standing around looking at flowers, right? Like, I get it. But basketball, it's just not it for me. The constant timeouts at the end of the game, it's just so boring and long. So I can't do it. So I'm in two pools. I'm in one for work. The one for work, they are giving away like a $500 like gift card to a restaurant or something, like a big restaurant.
Well, yeah, you just pick the teams randomly. Then you might as well flip the coin
and just hope that goes on. But because I don't necessarily like the sport all that much, I don't really know. I don't know enough about college basketball. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
UT won the Big 12, but somehow Baylor's a number 1 seed. So I don't really know how any of that happens, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah.
So I want to jump right away to something else then, because I'm not going to bore you with this NCAA pick'em game that I just learned about. I'll throw that up on my Twitter before or like tonight. But I thought you had told me that you're a big 2K guy, like NBA 2K, even though you hate the game of basketball.
Yeah. But the 2K is not the game of basketball. Okay.
So would you say it's like a series of like, how do you break that down? And basically, I've heard you're very good at it. So, well, I'll start from there. Like you said, you've played in tournaments. You've played for money already?
Yeah, so we'll take back the very good part, okay? I can hold my own, but I'm not these guys that get paid to be an esports 2K.
What difficulty do you play on?
Oh, I mean, it's the Hall of Fame for sure.
So you're way better than me.
Well, I mean, there's different ways to play the game, right? I do not do any one-on-one. So I don't do me versus you. So your team versus my team. I don't do any of that.
Okay.
I do 2 different game modes. I do Pro-Am, which is where you kind of create a player. It's your league. And that's, kind of just how that works for me. And
you play as a single player and you're playing with a bunch of other people as well. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. So I have a position. I'm a big man. I play the center position pretty well. And so I play with, my friends or other people in the kind of the esports community. And we kind of match up with another 5 different individuals, 10 of us on the court. So I do that, but predominantly I play what's called All-Star Team Up. Very similar. The only difference is you don't create a player. You're playing as one of the actual NBA players.
Okay.
So you could be Christian Wood one time. You could be Giannis one time. Doesn't really matter. But again, same idea, 5-on-5. You play your position, your teammates play their position, and you go along. So
you play that online.
Yes. So those are all done online. A couple pretty big leagues out there for that. One's called 2K Gods. That is kind of run and played in by a lot of the guys that are actually in the 2K league. So if you know anything about the 2K league, some of these guys are being paid to play big money to be playing these games and traveling across the country, and in their off time they're playing in these type of leagues. So I've played against some really great competition. I've played with great competition. Definitely not good enough to be in the 2K league though, for sure.
Sure. So you're playing 2K21, right? With these modes?
Yes.
Okay. I could see myself as getting into that because what I've found for me playing on, I'm playing on pro, so maybe I can't even get into this game mode yet, but where I'm playing as just one player. But what I found is just getting a handle on the different ball handling moves and post up moves, and then trying to learn play calls, because I'm mostly just playing against the computer, team versus team, and trying to run an offense. And half the time it's just me with, Jokic is the cover photo for this video, right? So half the time I'm just dishing it to Jokic and then hitting inside shots or mid-range shots with him, or driving to the lane with Jamal Murray, because I picked up the Nuggets. Shout out our stats guy, Brian O'Connell, is the Nuggets fan. So I don't know how many tips you can give me then, because you're such more of an individual player, but you did a lot of 2KU early on, to practice the moves, or you just know
them the same every year, right? Specifically, because I only play big man.
Right.
I'm not going to sit there for 20 minutes doing 43 dribble moves, right? It is a video game, right? And there are certain moves that you can play and do that are what are called OP, or overpowered. That's what you run into in a lot of these leagues, whether it be the pro-am circuit, where you're, kind of creating a player, which is even worse, because you can string together dribble moves that are just stupid.
Sure.
You're doing between the legs and behind the back, at the same time. And if you it enough, your defender, no matter how good the defender is, will fall over.
Sure.
So I just not me. I'm definitely a big man. Post up in the paint, dunk on your face type of person. Play defense, rebound, help my team win the game. So that's kind of where I want to be, is in terms of how I play the game and how I role play, or how I play my role. Excuse me. So
well, that's very cool. I didn't even know, I've been in the menus of 2K and not even realizing what's all available there. So it makes me feel like a kid again, not just with finding this new obsession of a different game and trying to, build up that learning curve, but also trying to figure out all of the different minutia along the way. Doing an online franchise and having to worry about my guys' morale. I haven't even touched the surface of doing that. I'm just trying to play the games and win more than half my games on pro. So I don't know if any questions around play calling I'm going to get from you, but I might have some questions.
Because every time I play one-on-one like that, right?
Sure. You just have them dish it into you.
Yeah, I don't know the dribble moves, right? And I'm a terrible shooter. I can't time the shot at all on Hall of Fame mode. I don't know why, but I just can't. And so calling plays, it just takes too long. And again, I am very much a gotta move all the time type of person, right? If you ever play Call of Duty with me, do not stick behind. Do not take 2 seconds to loot extra than you need to loot, right? Because I will already be in a fight of 4. Now, I'm not good enough to take on a fight of 4, but I will be there while the rest of my teammates are sitting around looking at butterflies. So
since we're on gaming, have you played Apex Legends?
Yes, that was the only game that I played outside of 2K and Madden for 2 years, for a year.
You're on PlayStation though, right?
I'm on Xbox.
Oh, on Xbox. Okay. We need to
Okay.
Only what?
The only system to have.
Oh, the only system to have. Yeah, I've got an Xbox One. I haven't upgraded to the Series X yet. Probably waiting until Halo Infinite for that.
Yeah. I upgraded already. It's nice.
I would love to play a game with you at some point. I don't know if it's cross console for Apex, and I haven't played in forever.
Yeah, it is.
A cross generation.
Yep. They announced crossplay November, I think. So you can play.
So I haven't played Apex in forever, but that is the fastest pace. Let's keep running around and killing as many people as we can. So I'd love to get back into that with someone if you're down for a game. Otherwise, I've got Black Ops too, so we can try that.
Always.
Awesome. I didn't have a ton else. Do you want to do trivia, Justin? I'm trying to make this part of the way to wrap up the show.
Make a fool out of myself because I don't retain things that are more than a year ago. I just don't. I don't need to. I need to focus on next off season, right? I got to keep going. I got to keep moving.
That's fair.
So for the most part, You're going to stump me on a lot of these, even though they're the Cowboys and Sooners questions. You're definitely going to stump me, but I'm all in. So let's do it.
All right. I appreciate the sportsmanship. Strapped for time. I came up with, let's see, what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 8 questions, and I'm sure I will come up with a 9th before we are done. And I'll just pick the question depending on how well you're doing on the trivia questions.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit of a AI. It'll adjust to your skill level. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with some of these. I don't think
I won't use Google.
I hope you don't. I don't think Michael did on his expert category. So we just started this last week, guys. I think I'm going to keep doing it. Just trivia in a category of the guest's expertise. I picked out Justin's expertise category. It's Dallas Cowboys and Oklahoma Sooners because he's talking about how they're always the best team in their respective leagues.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
So, you know what? I think for the first question, I'm just going to keep it super easy for you, and then we'll go from there. So I've got 9 questions. Question number 1. How many championships have the Dallas Cowboys won?
5.
Ding, ding, ding. You are correct.
I didn't know that
I gave
one.
you a bunny right from the beginning.
Definitely not be a fan.
And I got to pull this up because I forgot. It's going to be a lot more entertaining this way. Hopefully that comes through on the mic well. You got the first one right. All right. Question number 2. Who is the winningest coach in Dallas Cowboys history? Oh, wait, did I lose him?
Somehow I got kicked out. I don't know what happened.
Oh, he's back. Okay, did you hear the question?
I did not hear the question.
Okay, so who is the winningest coach in Dallas Cowboys history?
That's Tom Landry.
There, you're 2 for 2, Justin. This is easy, right?
Yeah, super easy.
All right.
We only coached like 30 years. So.
Question 3. Who did the Cowboys beat in the wild card round of the 2018 playoffs?
Detroit Lions? I think. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Maybe it's the LA Rams?
It's not the Rams. That was, I think, a loss in that year as well. In 2018, the most recent playoffs, they defeated they defeated the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, yeah.
Win, right. And then went on to lose the next game, I believe, against the Rams.
I was literally on a plane to Korea at the time, and I had to fly into Seattle to get there. And I remember watching that game because there was a lot of tears going on. So,
oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's not sorry. We won. So the tears were the people.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
wanting Seattle to win.
I'm making sure that I'm getting the marking you down for the ones you get right here. Yeah. Michael got 6 of 9 correct. He had 6 correct and 3 wrong. So he set the bar for us. All right, this one is a Sooners question. This Oklahoma Sooner was the recipient of the 2017 John Mackey Award.
Well, it would be good to know what John Mackey and who John Mackey is. So
you don't know motherfucking Mackey Award, man?
I don't know. I don't know who the Mack of all trades John Mackey is. Let's see. What can I guess it to be? Let's say 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
So maybe it's wide receiver, tight end. Let's say it's tight end. So let's say Mark Andrews.
You are correct.
Yes. Yes.
You won the Mackey Award.
I know who John Mackey is. I just realized in my head, John Mackey is a player in Madden Ultimate Team. So if you play Madden Ultimate Team,
there you go.
Years ago, John Mackey was one of the tight ends you could get, and I remembered that at the last second. So that's why I went with it.
Yep, there you go. Good call there, man. I knew you'd know Mark Andrews, Oklahoma, obviously. So let's go back to Cowboys quick. Who is the all-time receiving leader for the Dallas Cowboys with 1,215 receptions, 12,977 yards, and 72 touchdowns?
Oof. 72. I don't think So I know Witten has the second most receptions. I don't think Des Bryant beat him out.
This all-time receiving leader means yards specifically, just to clarify.
Okay.
So the number you want to key in on is the 12,977.
Yeah, so it's either Irvin or Des. I'm gonna say it's Des. That's what I'm gonna say it is, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, you had said it. It's actually Jason Witten.
Is it? Okay, I didn't know.
Unless this is based on receptions, but I see receiving leader, and I think that they're basing it off the yards. So might have to give you a point back there if I was wrong in my analysis of Cowboys receivers, but not a bad guess. Okay, so we've got.
It is Jason Witten. I confirm.
Good. I'm glad I got that right.
No, he's got he had 1,000 more than Michael Irvin. Good job. Way to go, Jay.
All right. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 questions left for you. You've got 3. You're 3 and 2 so far. So I think if you know your Sooners pretty good, you can end up pretty good here.
Okay, good. I don't. All right. Go ahead.
All right. Who was the last non-QB Sooner drafted in the top 5 of the NFL draft? I'll give you a hint. It was an offensive tackle in 2013.
2013. Could it be Lane Johnson? Could it be? I don't know. Something tells me Trent Williams was an offensive tackle for Oklahoma, but I don't remember if he was or not. So I'm going to say Trent Williams.
Damn, Justin. You said it again. It was Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson was.
Now I got to figure out if Trent Williams played in OU.
I keep thinking whenever I hear the name Russell Okun, I think OU, but I don't think he was either.
Trent Williams was a Sooner. I knew that.
But he must have been a year or a few prior.
2009. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew my tackles. You were there. I get a point for it. And I'm going to take a point for Witten as well because I said Witten first. So we're going to go.
No. This is trivia. Okay, this is trivia brain games, Justin.
The Packer fan is not going to tell me that it was incomplete. Des caught it. I was right on Witten. I was right on Lane Johnson.
All right. We'll see what the record books have to say about that. Question number 7. Prior to CD Lamb in 2020 and Marquise Brown in 2019, who is the most recent Oklahoma wide receiver selected in NFL draft?
Well, there was Broyles, but I don't know if he got drafted. There was last wide receiver drafted from Oklahoma. Again, Ryan Broyles was a Lion, but I don't remember if he was drafted. And there's a guy whose name is escaping me who played for the Texans and the Dolphins for a while. And for some reason, I can't remember his name. But I'm going to go with that guy. Whoever that guy's name is, that's the guy I'm going to go with.
Oh, you're not even close, Justin. You can't give me any points for that. It was D.D. Westbrook.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
fourth round.
I forgot about D.D.
Yeah, he's I feel like the rumors are he is no longer going to be in Jacksonville for much longer, but we'll have to see. I feel bad for this next one because I didn't know, like, as I was making them, like, I had some that I wanted to stump you and hopefully get you around the 6 and 3 range. But
by the way, the guy I was thinking about was Kenny Stills. That's who I thought it was.
Okay. Yeah, Kenny feels like a little bit older. But anyway, I as we're asking these questions, mini break here. Did you go to Oklahoma?
Did not.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I guess you mentioned you had your opportunity for an internship, so then you, opted to go straight to that, right?
Yeah. If I got into OU, I would definitely have gone to OU. I did not get into OU.
Okay. But you've been.
I got into some East Coast schools like Xavier and BC and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I chose inevitably not to go.
I mean, that Roto internship sounds amazing. So like I commend you for taking that opportunity. So I don't know how far back your following of OU goes, but if you applied to OU when you were going to college, then maybe this one will trigger something in your brain. Name 2 of the 3 quarterbacks who started for Oklahoma in the 2013 and 2014 seasons between Landry Jones and Baker Mayfield.
What? What is the question?
Gosh, I wish I don't have the setup to have this all written down, so I'll explain it again.
Yeah.
In 2013 and 2014, 3 different quarterbacks started for the Oklahoma Sooners. It was not Landry Jones or Baker Mayfield. Like, it was Landry Jones, these 3 guys for 2013 and 2014, and then they got Baker. Okay. So you have to name 2 of the 3 quarterbacks in that span.
Okay. So 2013, 2014. Oh, man. I think Blake Bell was one. And I honestly don't know who the third one is.
You only have to name 2.
Oh, yeah, the 2. Yeah, excuse me. So this was 2013, 2014, right?
Yep. Those 2 seasons. I'll give you time on this because you have to give me more than one answer.
Yeah. My thought again is Blake Bell. The other one starts with a T, but I can't. I want to say it was Trevor. I can't remember his last name. So I'm not going to take up too much more time. But Trevor, Tommy, maybe Tristan. I don't know. I'm 100% certain on Blake Bell. The other one is a name that starts with a T, but I can't seem to remember it.
Okay, this one I will give you because it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Blake Bell was right. One of the guys was Trevor Knight.
Oh, okay.
And so you had the Trevor, and then the third guy was Cody Thomas.
Okay.
So the Tommy thing, kind of, you got that going there too. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Okay. Last question, and you're probably going to hate me for it. In 2016, who caught the sideline pass from Aaron Rodgers to set up Mason Crosby's game-winning field goal against the Cowboys in the divisional round of the playoffs?
Jared motherfucking Cook. Okay.
I had to do that I was running out of questions about the Cowboys and the Sooners.
Toes dragging and the knees just hovering over the sideline, just ingrained in my brain. But yeah, it's Jared Cook.
Dude, that game, because I hate to tell you this, but I've always kind of hated the Cowboys because they're America's team and all of these things. So I'm sure you've heard that before. And when the Packers beat them, that just galvanized my fandom. Now I'm both Titans and Packers fan, which maybe that makes me a fake fan. But I can't change how I feel, Justin. So I appreciate you doing these. You're a really good sport. You went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 9. So
I definitely had 8 of 9 because Jason Witten and both correct.
Above 500.
Duncan.
Above 500 either way. Yeah, I'm gonna give you the number 8 for sure. Thank you for doing this, and I'm sure we'll have you on again because, like I said, I'm always learning more about you in these conversations. You can follow Justin at jman_ff. It's right there on his Twitter or on the stream there. I'm at Andrew Mackens. Thank you guys for catching us here. TheUndroppables.com for our written content. And anything else you want to plug, Justin?
No, we're good. I think I'm ready to kind of kick the offseason off. I can't wait for the rest of free agency and all that stuff. So make sure you you're checking out the undroppables any chance you get, we've always got the information ready for you at any given time.
Yep, we're grinding behind the scenes. So as they all say, we've got big things coming. We will see you guys next time.